Exodus 38. And he madeth the altar of burnt offering of shittim wood. 5 cubits was the length thereof, and 5 cubits the breadth thereof. It was 4 square, and of 3 cubits the height thereof. And he made the horns thereof on the 4 corners of it. The horns thereof were of the same, and he overlaid it with brass. And he madeth all the vessels of the altar, at the pots, and at the shovels, and at the basins, and at the flesh hooks, and at the firepans, all the vessels thereof made he of brass. And he made for the altar a brazen grate of network under the compass thereof, beneath unto the midst of it. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the grate of the brass, to be places for the staves. And he madeth the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with brass. And he putteth the staves into the rings on the sides of the altar, to bear it withal. He made the altar hollow with boards. He madeth the laver of brass, and at the foot of it brass of the looking glasses of the women assembling, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the assembly. And he madeth the court on the south side southward. The hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their brazen sockets 20. The hooks and the pillars and their fillets were of silver. And for the north side of the hangings were 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets of brass 20. The hooks of the pillar and their fillets of silver. And for the west side were hangings of 50 cubits. Their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the east side eastward 50 cubits. The hangings of the one side of the gate were 15 cubits. Their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the other side of the court gate, on this hand and on that hand, were hangings of 15 cubits. Their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. All the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen. And the sockets for the pillars were of brass, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver, and the overlaying of their chapiters of silver, and all the pillars of the court were filleted with silver. And the hanging for the gate of the court was needlework, of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, and 20 cubits was the length, and the height and the breadth was 5 cubits, answerable to the hangings of the court. And their pillars were 4, and their sockets of brass 4, their hooks of silver, and the overlaying of their chapiters and their fillets of silver. And all the pins of the tabernacle and of the court round about were of brass. This is the sum of the tabernacle, even of the tabernacle of testimony, as it was counted, according to the commandment of Moshe, for the service of the Leviim, by the hand of Ithamar, son to Aharon the priest. And Betsael, the son of Ure, the son of Kore, of the tribe of YAHUAH, madeth all that YAHUAH commanded, hath Moshe. And with him was Aholibah, son of Achimach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver, and a cunning workman, and an embroiderer in blue, and in purple, and in scarlet, and fine linen. All the gold that was occupied for the work in all the work of the holy place, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents, and 730 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary. And the silver of them that were numbered of the assembly was 100 talents, and 1,760 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary. A bekah for every man, that is, half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary, for every one that went to be numbered, from 20 years old and upward, for 600,000 and 3,550 men. And of the 100 talents of silver were cast at the sockets of the sanctuary, and at the sockets of the veil, 100 sockets of the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. And at the 1,775 shekels he made hooks for the pillars, and overlaid them chapiters, and filleted them. And the brass of the offering was 70 talents, and 2,400 shekels. And therewith he madeth the sockets to the door of the tabernacle of the assembly, and at the brazen altar, and at the brazen grate for it, and all the vessels of the altar. And at the sockets of the court round about, and at the sockets of the court gate, and at all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about.